Hello guys, Crispy here, welcome back to another video. In this one, my friends, I'm going to be testing a GeForce GTX 650 Ti 1GB model in GTA 5. This one is the Palit version of the card. We are running it with the latest Nvidia drivers available to it, which aren't really the latest, of course, because this is from 2012. As usual, I'm not manually overclocking it, and you can see all of its specs right here in Tech Power Up's GPU-Z. Again, it's a 1GB of GDDR5 model of the card, and over on the left, we're pairing it with a Ryzen 5 3600X and 16GB of RAM in dual channel to avoid CPU bottlenecks. But something like an old i7 CPU, like a 2600K, if you overclock that, it will get the most out of a 650 Ti. It's a very old GPU after all, and you will see around the same results. Let's get into it, shall we? Let's go over the settings. I'm starting at 1080p resolution using the normal textures, lowest population variety, because these two options consume a lot of VRAM and we only have 1GB, but everything else is set to the high settings. As you can see over on the advanced graphic settings, everything is turned off, of course, because these are very intensive settings. And as you can see, this is actually a little bit slower than the HD 7790. Also, just like the HD 7790, this GPU is also a little bit factory overclocked. And exactly the same happened. What? Are you serious? This time we didn't kill the poor gal, but with the 7790 I also did kind of the same thing, and I killed the guy. What the heck? Okay, anyways, driving around, as you can see, we're getting 60s, lower 60s, actually dipping down into the 50s, whereas the other GPU didn't really. Okay, interesting. I thought the 650 Ti was actually a little bit stronger than the HD 7790. But anyways, it's still providing a great experience given what this is. You know, a 12-year-old GPU that was low to mid-range at the time, or maybe like entry-level. Well, entry-level would be like the GTX 650 or 645 actually. So this was, again, that low to mid-range GPU, 660 being mid-range, of course, and this actually came out at $149. So once again, a segment or a pricing segment that we don't find today. Hello Jack, how's it going? Good to see you right now. Good stuff. You're looking beautiful as always, especially on high settings. We have all of that grass enabled, of course, and it's dropping down into the 40s around here, which is not bad. Once again, like if you're spending what, like 15 bucks on a 650 Ti, this is completely acceptable performance, right? It does dip into the high 30s though inside of bushes, as you can see, like not anymore, but it did dip down there. It's not stuttering. What are you doing? Are you filming me, Bob? Goodbye, Bob. Oh, interesting, guys. Bob is actually wearing green. Well, white and green, just like my car, because of Nvidia, probably. Well, guys, once again, I think this is how I would choose to play the game. Maybe overclock that card a little bit as well, like by 50 megahertz or so it achieves 60, 61, or 62 FPS on average instead of 59. But who cares, really? It is a playable experience. It's not running out of VRAM, which is nice, even though inside of the game menu it says that we would. It's not stuttering because of it whatsoever either, and if you couple it with something like an i7 3770 or even like an i5 4460 CPU, those CPUs are capable of achieving like 70, 80 plus FPS average sometimes in this particular game. You will see exactly the same performance as we're seeing right here with the 3600X. So yeah, although this is super overkill for a GPU like this, as I told you at the beginning in the intro, it doesn't really matter. Anyways, let's stop it right there, guys, and let's move on to 900p resolution. I believe we can actually play like that. Yep. On the AMD card, it didn't work at 900p, so 1600 by 900 res. We're still over the VRAM limits. I think we will still be over the VRAM limits even at 720p, but hey, it doesn't matter. Let's start counting our FPS and let's see if it gets 60 plus, or at least like 50 plus FPS. I don't think it's gonna get 60s though, because, or 60 plus all of the time, that is. It is getting well above 60 right now. But yeah, 900p is not that big of a resolution drop compared to 1080p for us to get 60 plus even inside of bushy areas and Jack's Hill, basically, with a lot of grass and so on. Still, it should make it much smoother. As you can see, it's already dropping here. by a little bit just because of these little bushes. Yep, bushes in this game are so intensive, guys. At least now, while driving through the city over here, it doesn't really dip into the 50s, whereas at 1080p it did get like high 50s, low 60s. Here we get like mid 60s plus basically all of the time, 70s very often, and even touching 80 FPS at times, which is very good indeed. So for those of you running a 900p monitor, and there are many 900p monitors out there that are super cheap, you will have great fun with the 650 Ti if you plan on playing older games, as I told you in the HD 7790 video, which probably a lot of you haven't seen, but I keep mentioning it. It's a good watch, you know. The card is actually a little bit faster, as I told you, and it might be a better buy. But yeah, as I said in that video, older games is where it's at, my friends. I really like testing older games and playing them, and they actually work properly, and they look good still, as you can see, even at 900p resolution and high settings. It's not maxed out, and it looks good. And the stories... Man, the stories of these old games are just amazing, especially if you compare, for example, like Skull and Bones with Assassin's Creed Black Flag. That's crazy, right? Quadruple A game. Ubisoft, please. Also, in GTA 5, you have Jack, so of course, it's the best game ever. Jack, please, don't... Following Jack around wasn't a good idea. Well, we can still drive through the wall. Spider car. Look at that, dropping down into the high 40s as the minimum, like 49. Not bad whatsoever. It's stable, it's playable, it's smooth-ish, and especially if you're coming from like Intel HD 4000s and stuff like that, basically any Intel HD graphics, it's gonna be a huge upgrade. So yeah, that's why I keep mentioning and testing and recommending sometimes these very old GPUs, because you can buy them for really cheap, like 15 bucks again, and you can have so much fun with them. At least I do. So that's it, guys. 73 FPS average. Let's go down to 720. Here we have it, 720p, using the same settings, of course, and again, it's still going over the VRAM limits. It's using exactly the same VRAM as the HD 7790, although that VRAM utilization is probably a little bit lower because the algorithms, memory allocation, and so on work differently between Nvidia and AMD GPUs. Still, none of the cards stutter at all, even at 1080p resolution, so it is a great experience nonetheless. And look at that, we're getting 90 FPS or 80s actually, and this is interesting now because with the 7790 we were consistently seeing around like 115, 110 FPS, and I think it got 100 plus on average. This one is actually a lot slower at 720p. Interesting. Also, the other GPU came out in 2013, this one was in 2012, of course, so can't really compare them one to one, I guess. Around here, still dipping into the 90s. All right. Obviously, it is a great experience. It is super playable. I mean, it was already super playable at 1080p res. And you will have great fun with a card like this. And if you have a 720p monitor, I think it won't really drop from 60 FPS, but we'll see in Jack's Hill, of course, when we get there. Okay, there we go. Now we're getting up into like the 110s, lower 100s at the moment. It actually touched 120 FPS for a second. Also, I keep mentioning that this would be a great upgrade over Intel HD graphics on the cheap, of course, but also to people running something like GT 710 or GT 630s, basically any GT series GPU that isn't the GT 1030, this would be a great upgrade. And even a 1030 DDR4, this is way faster than something like this. GTX cards are way better than GT cards for gaming. Basically, GT cards were meant to display an image. Oh, hello there. That's a nice bike, actually. But yeah, basically, GT cards are display adapters. Yes, they can do some gaming, as I showed countless times here in the channel. But something like this just walks all over it. It's insane, the difference, you know. Goodbye, Bobs. I don't know which one of you is Bob, so you're both gonna die. Oh, yes. There we go. Good stuff. All right, so finally in Jack's Hill, we are dipping into the 50s, like high 50s only, and it's only like a little drop there, so it's not gonna happen very often, but it will happen. All right. Still, it's not a big deal whatsoever. This is a good experience indeed. All right, let's increase this to 4K resolution, and this card can actually run 4K 60 Hz. The 7790 was stuck to 30 Hz for some reason. Okay, here we have it, guys. The on-screen display is tiny right now because I can't really change it since we're getting 2 FPS. And it's 4K, high settings still. So 2 FPS is what we get. That's actually crazy. Like, this is completely expected on such an old GPU at 4K native resolution. But the 7790 was getting like 10 FPS, I think. Maybe on high setting. I really think it was getting like 10 FPS at these settings. That's insane. That's such a big difference. What the hell? Alright, I'm back at the reasonable 1080p resolution for this card, using the normal settings or lowest settings in the game now, aside from like config files and stuff like that, but we don't need to get into those, it's not a GT card. And look at that, guys, 90s, 100s, yeah, if you want that smoother experience, you can definitely have it with the 650 Ti, even at 1080p resolution. I'm not sure if it's going to be 60 plus all of the time. We'll see about the bushy areas, of course, but yeah, this is promising, right? I'm expecting to see like somebody wearing green. Can we have that? Oh, you don't. Okay. It's all good, lady. Yeah, you probably should run away. Also, where is the bench that I crashed against previously? Like, there used to be a bench right here. I know where it is. It's stuck in the high settings, basically. Because when you lower down the settings in this game, there are a lot of props that just disappear completely. And that's another reason why I wouldn't really use the normal settings instead of high settings, even though the high settings were dropping from 60 FPS. This is a game that can be played with like 40 plus FPS just fine, and that's exactly what we got at the 1080p high settings. And it looks way better as well, right? Like this. Also, guys, to achieve high FPS, you will need a little bit biffier of a CPU than that like 4th gen i5 or 2nd gen i7. Those are good for 80 FPS or so. Hello, Jack. How's it going, buddy? Yeah, those are good for like 80 FPS average. To achieve 100 average and max out this GPU like this, you'd probably need something like Ryzen 1400, i7 4th gen overclocked, or i5 4th gen overclocked. Yeah, also, it's not really dropping from 60 FPS, I believe. I think I saw like 60 flat at the minimum. So not bad. Hello, Bob. How's it going? You know what? Where are you going, Bob? Are you scared? Do you know what's gonna happen? Why are you walking so fast? Bob! Excuse me, Bob. Are you... No. Bob? Do you really want to do this? See, guys, even his dog doesn't like him. Because he's not doing anything. No, I didn't mean... Oh, my God. Oh my God. I didn't mean Rex, please stop. But as I was saying, Rex doesn't care about Bob because we just hit his human and he didn't protect him at all, and off he goes to his life, right? He doesn't care at all. The best way to see that a person is a bad person is if their pets don't like him, okay? And those of you saying that, stop killing Bob and stuff like that. There was an hashtag or something, like hashtag save Bob or something like that. Bob lives matter. It was that, I think. Stop with that, all of you, okay? Because you got the proof here. Bob is bad. All right, anyways, what is not bad is this 650 Ti. It's definitely very capable here at 1080p. You know what? I will try it at 1440p next. Here we go, 2560 by 1440, 30 Hz, normal settings. So now, even if the FPS are above 30, we're only going to be able to see 30, unfortunately. And they are close to 60, look at that. Oh, damn. Oh, I wish we could have 60 FPS, because this would be a smooth experience. But with locked 30 hertz. It just feels like crap, honestly. If you manage to get 60 hertz going on a 1440p display with this GPU, it is capable of achieving 60 plus. Like, on average, it's getting 60 plus at 1440. How crazy is that? A 12-year-old GPU that wasn't meant to run 1440p at all. Like, in fact, in 2012, 720p or 768p were very normal resolution still. 1080p was pretty high-end, you know. And 1440p was like ultra high-end. Yet, the little 650 Ti is capable of achieving 60 plus on average. It's not going to be 60 plus all of the time, because if you spend a lot of time near bushes, or in this area, for example, with a lot of these bushes around us, it is going to dip eventually, of course. But still, guys, it is close. It's not dropping too much, and it's normal settings, so it doesn't look amazing, but it's still 1440p. And finally, guys, we got 4K resolution using the lowest settings here, normal, back to 60 Hz, but it doesn't really matter because it's getting single digits. Now, I'm 100% sure that the HD 7790 is much better at 4K than this is. It's actually a night and day difference. The other one, I could still drive around and stuff. Yeah, this is not even loading or anything, it's just running like this, guys. It ran out of VRAM as well. Oh my god, what the hell? This trick is insane. What am I doing? What the? Come on. Alright, is it gonna explode? I don't think so. Nope. Wow. Alright, but that's been it, guys. What the heck? If you fancy a slow slideshow like this, this is perfect. 650 Ti, pretty impressive for its age once again. Good that you can get a good experience here in GTA 5 at the lower resolutions, obviously, and even high settings. For like 10, 15 bucks, whatever it costs these days. I wouldn't pay more than that, okay? So yeah, that's been it. Thanks very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll catch you in the next one very soon. Love you all. Bye-bye.